The Early Line with Mario and Musso. Mario and Musso have your early line on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
I mean, we're just here to have fun and win and have fun by winning.
Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studios, here's Mario Jerez and Matt Musso.
A good Tuesday afternoon. Welcome in. Matt Musso alongside Mario Jerez. We have your early line. Plenty to get to today. It's game day for the New Orleans Pelicans. Game number 5 out in Phoenix against the Suns. Series, of course, tied 2-2. A couple other NBA playoff games to get to as well that, we'll go through. And Rafael Esparza from Doc Sports and MyBookie.ag will be by at 2:30 in his regular spot. How are you, Mario?
I'm well, Musso. Vibes are good. The Pelicans have a big playoff game tonight. The Lakers do not. I reminded Hilly a lot of that in the last show. Had some fun. And I wanted to start the show before we get into the daily spread about a fact that has to do with the NBA and the playoffs as we're getting ready to make some picks here. Shout out to Jacob Hester who sent me this stat. This is the first time in NBA history that the two betting title favorites didn't win one playoff game. And tracking this started back in 1977, but the Brooklyn Nets nor the LA Lakers won a single playoff game, and they were the betting favorites for the NBA championship coming in.
One of those teams didn't even make the playoffs. That was the Los Angeles Lakers.
Won the same amount of games.
The same amount of games. Yeah, man, look, I'll give the Nets credit. They fought harder last night than I thought than they would. So give them credit. I mean, Kevin Durant was out there playing really, 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 really hard. Kyrie was playing really hard. It didn't matter. It felt like every single time the Nets tried to make a run, the Celtics had an answer. They were just able to keep them at arm's length the entire time down the stretch. I think the Nets got it to 3 with about a minute and a half or so left in the game. But again, the Celtics went right down the floor and got it back to 5, back to 7 almost immediately. We're eventually able to just pull away. So, look, it's been a great opening round of the playoffs, though. Just one sweep out of all the series, which that's ultimately what you want. And you're looking at a couple of them that could go 7, a few of them that we'll talk about here in our daily spread. And, why not? Let's just get right to it.
Daily spread. What are Mario and Musso watching tonight?
I'm talking about big money. Real big money.
This is our daily spread.
Let's start with Timberwolves Grizzlies, Mario. This is game number 5. The Grizzlies are 6-point favorites here. This has been an interesting series to watch. Remember last week I was like, you know what? I kind of just want to sit back, watch game number 3, see how it goes, and then go all in on game 4. Well, game 3 was kind of just an abject disaster if you're the Minnesota Timberwolves, where you gave up runs of 15-0 and 21-0, blew 23, 26-point leads, ended up losing on your home floor. You really didn't learn much about that one. And you see a big line with the Grizzlies going home. I will say this, though. One thing I'm really interested in this isn't necessarily the spread. It isn't necessarily a money line or the total. It's a prop play, and it's a prop play on Desmond Bane. So Desmond Bane has been pouring it in from 3 in this series. He's taken 39 three-pointers. He's a combined 15 of 27 from 3 in games 3 and 4 alone. His prop right now sits at over 3.5 threes. You average it out over the 4 games so far, he's averaging 4.8. At minus 130 odds, I don't hate the Desmond Bane over 3.5 three-pointers made. The Timberwolves have done a pretty good job on Ja Morant. They've had to find scoring from elsewhere. Desmond Bane's been one of those guys. They're letting him shoot, man. 39 threes. He's made 15 in games 3 and 4.
I love Desmond Bane. I think he is to Memphis kind of what Jonas Valanciunas is to the Pelicans, someone who's really important to the success of that team and that does not get enough credit. Like you said, the way he's been shooting the ball, I don't think that's a bad play at all. And he's been big in the series, like you said, going through those stats, and he's kind of had to be because Ja Morant, at least offensively, hasn't really had it in this series. And there's been a lot of Ja slander online in the last few days, despite the fact that he just won the NBA's Most Improved Player Award. So I'm expecting a big game from him. Didn't have it in game 4, just 4 of 13 from the field, 11 points. This is after his first career playoff triple-double in game 3, but as far as scoring, hasn't really been there this series. And there was one point before game 4 that Ja Morant had more tweets that he released than he had made field goals in the NBA playoffs. So Grizzlies fans were getting a little restless, but it's still a 2-2 series, and it's been one that's really entertaining. like you said, I still think it's going to go 7 games. But tonight, you got the series going back to Memphis. Again, I think John Morant will bounce back. I really like Bane, like you said. And the Grizzlies at home have been kind of unstoppable, at least when it comes to covering. Coming off of a loss, I know you like that metric. The Grizzlies 18-9 against the spread. So a 2-1 clip or 2-to-1 ratio there covering at home when they're coming off of a loss. So I think that they'll benefit from the home cooking there in the grind factory. I think that the foul disparity maybe will be more favorable for Memphis, because that was a thing in the last game. I thought their coach was going to get fined, like we saw a couple of other coaches already get fined, but I think this continues.
Williams.
Yeah, what's up, Monty? Didn't see that same energy towards the refs when they weren't making calls here in New Orleans, but that's neither here nor there. I expect the Grizzlies to win tonight. I expect them to cover as well, and I think that they take the lead here in a series that will probably still go 7 games.
Yeah, I mean, it feels like one of the more prime candidates for a series to go 7 games. Major League Baseball, we got a 5:40 Central Time first pitch. Mariners, Tampa Bay Rays. Logan Gilbert, Matt Weisler, no runs in the first inning. -170 in this one. Gilbert has been incredible so far for the Mariners. A minuscule ERA of 0.56 in 3 starts. And when it comes to the first inning and allowing runs, he's 2-1, no runs to the first inning. In his career versus the Rays, he's 2-0, no runs in the first inning. When you look at Tampa Bay, this is going to be a bullpen game for the Rays. It will start with Matt Weisler making a spot start. This is something he's very good at. While after his first 2 years in the major leagues, he was primarily a starter. It didn't go well. He's been moved to the bullpen and used in that spot start role. He's made 17 spot starts since 2017. He's 17-0, no runs in the first inning. The Mariners bats, they have been hot, but first inning runs on the road have been a struggle early in the season. Just 2 out of 7 road games. The Rays have a first inning run in just 2 out of their last 5. This is definitely a play on the pitchers. Even though it's a bullpen game for Tampa Bay, told you Matt Weisler has been very, very good there, and Logan Gilbert is just one of the better young arms in Major League Baseball. No runs first inning. Mariners, Rays, -170. Don't hate the under in this game either. It's at 7. It's a fairly low total, but coming back at -110, the Rays have the best bullpen in Major League Baseball. They lead in wins above replacement for a bullpen. They've been very good. You can expect Logan Gilbert to probably go deep. So definitely like no runs in the first inning. Don't hate the under. The under in this game either.
Remember, kids, the Tampa Bay Rays claim that their name is representing the rays from the sun, not the fish. This is an important fact when it comes to the team once known as the Devil Rays. But, excuse me, speaking of teams.
Frog in your throat there.
Yeah, man, 3 hours of radio today. We're going to make it through, though. The Heat are also a team based in Florida that have to do with the sun a little bit, I guess, and they are laying 7.5 points tonight against the Atlanta Hawks, and we saw what happened on Game 4, Moose. So we talked about Game 3 going into the weekend, and I told you, I think Trae Young is a special player. He's good enough to carry these guys for one game at home where they've been really good, and then after that, Miami will roll. What happened? Trae Young hits the game winner. Game 3, they get the narrow victory, but then the Heat blow them out in Game 4. 24-point blowout. Game tonight with a chance to close is in Miami, so I do not see what's going to be different, because the Heat have had Trae Young in hell all series. We've talked about it on the show. They're very physical with him, the same way the Pelicans are doing with Chris Paul right now. And after he hit that game winner in Game 3, Trae Young in Game 4 only had 9 points, 3 of 11 from the field, a -27 clip. Also, like what I'm seeing on the other side, the question that we had to ask about the Heat every playoffs, is Jimmy Butler good enough to be the best player on a championship team? So far, scoring the ball, he kind of looks like he could be. Already had a 40-point game in these playoffs. Jimmy Buckets is averaging 30.5 points per game, 7.8 rebounds, 5.3 assists on a 43% clip from three-point land. Really good basketball being played by Jimmy Butler, and we know they have balanced scoring with arguably the greatest X's and O's coach in the league right now. All 5 starters for the Heat reached double figures in Game 5. That despite the fact that the Heat only shot 43% from the field. So that's a team that can be carried by Butler when they need to be. That's a team that can have balanced scoring when they need it. I love the shooting that they have with Robinson, Tyler Hero, although he's been kind of hot and cold. But something that has not been hot at all is Atlanta on the road, because we know, Musso, at home they're the Atlanta Hawks. On the road, they become the Atlanta Pigeons. And Atlanta is an NBA worst 6-20 against the spread as a road underdog this season. You know I got that futures ticket on the Heat. We're feeling the Heat tonight, although it's kind of a big number. Give me Miami 7.5 at home versus the Atlanta Hawks.
NL East battle. The Miami Marlins, they visit the Washington Nationals. Sandy Alcantara, Josiah Gray on the mound. No runs in the first inning, minus 145. 6:05 Central first pitch. Mario loves it so much. Josiah Gray, a perfect 3-0 so far on the year when it comes to no runs in the first inning, and is facing a Marlins lineup that isn't very good. They've scored a first inning run just once in their last 9 games. Sandy Alcantara, for those Miami Marlins, is 2-1 this year when it comes to no runs in the first inning, facing a Nationals lineup that has scored a first inning run in just 1 out of their last 7 games. Both pitchers, they keep the ball in the park, which is very, very good. You look at Alcantara, just 1 home run given up in 19 1/3 innings so far on the year. Both have whips, just over 1. So not a lot of walks, not a lot of hits. That leads to not a lot of runs. This is a bit of an under-the-radar play here, but I really like the potential of it. Marlins, Nationals, no runs in the first inning, minus 145. If you want to parlay that with Mariners, Rays, it'll come back at about plus 168.
Oh, you like it. You don't say. You like this no runs in the first inning play.
Good, man.
You know, the Matt Musso joke that I was making at the beginning of the week was find a woman who loves you like Matt Musso hates the Yankees. But I think my new Matt Musso joke is going to be find a woman who loves you like Matt Musso loves no runs in the first inning, please.
You know what? I want to find a woman who loves me as much as I love the no runs in the first inning bet.
Get out there, man.
It's
coming up.
It's the best sweat in baseball. It really is phenomenal. Love it. Just 6 outs. 6 outs. So good.
Yeah, I can see why it would be fun. I know you're enjoying it.
I'm having a blast. So let's see. I like Desmond Bain over 3.5 3-pointers today, minus 130. Mario, Grizzlies minus 6, and then minus 7.5 with the Heat. 2 no runs in the first inning plays for you there. 1 in Mariners, Rays, 1 in Marlins, Nationals. That's the daily spread. We'll be back on the other side here with more early line. Time to dive into Game 5. Pelly's 6.5 point underdogs on the road in Phoenix. Talking about it next. Rafael Esparza is still to come as well. It's early line, 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
Mario and Musso, the early line. In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
I've got that blue sky. I've got that sunshine.
At All-Star Toyota, you get it all. If you're in the market for an all-new Toyota vehicle, come see our friendly and knowledgeable sales team at All-Star Toyota. Located in Baton Rouge at the corner of Airline and Goodwood, we've been serving our community since 2005 by offering a large selection of new Toyota cars, trucks, and SUVs. Get behind the wheel of your dream car and take a test drive at All-Star Toyota today.
Each year, Guarantee Media hosts a radiothon to benefit dreams come true. And this year, we need your help more than ever.
We've interviewed these incredible kids, and each and every one of their stories brings tears to our eyes.
To have a dream granted means more to these families than you'll ever know.
And it wouldn't be possible without your help.
Dreams Come True has been hit hard by the events of the past year.
So we ask for your support in helping this incredible cause.
Our Dreams Come True Radiothon is powered by the Baton Rouge Clinic. Visit GuaranteeMedia.com to pledge your support today.
Service Master Elite create clean, disinfected work environments. As a local business, we take pride in serving the New Orleans and Baton Rouge areas. Our cleaning protocols follow CDC and OSHA standards for healthcare settings, offices, senior living, restaurants, and industrial plants. Contact Service Master Elite to get your operation ready for reopening with germ disinfection cleaning. Service Master Elite, the trusted choice in professional cleaning since 1996.
Eli's always been into grilling. It took us a while to see it, but the signs were there.
What are you doing, Eli?
I knew grilling was my thing. I have been talking about it throughout my career.
Happy with the results?
I am. Got the new grill from barbecueguys.com. It performed great.
My advice, as I always told my boys,
do more of what you're born to do.
Barbecue Guys, for those who were born to grill.
You want cheese on your burger, Pops?
I'll take a little cheese.
If you're in an accident, a car accident, a slip and fall where you're injured, you need to call an attorney. The defendant insurance company, it's their goal to close the case as quickly as possible and pay out the least amount of money as possible. That's why it's important to call an attorney and call the law offices of O.C. Brown.
At the law office of O.C. Brown, we're a family-owned firm. We want to be your law firm for a lifetime.
This is a house call. This is a follow-up appointment. This is a diabetes checkup. This isn't just more convenient care, it's more advanced care. This is innovating healthcare at Louisiana's #1 hospital, Ochsner.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast.
Matt Moscona inviting you to join us for Tuesday's AFR, presented by Insurance Network of Louisiana. We're counting down to the draft, and we're previewing Pell's Suns Game 5 and LSU baseball at UNO. Join us, 3 to 6, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Early line with Mario and Musso. 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Well, Musso, honestly, this is not a statement that I expected to utter like 2 weeks ago, even that recently. But the New Orleans Pelicans are tied with the Phoenix Suns, 2 games apiece in their first round Western Conference playoff series. Game 5 tonight from Phoenix. The Pelicans a 6.5-point underdog, which seems a little bit sizable. The total set at 214.5. The Pelicans came home after getting the 1-1 split in Phoenix, which they needed to get. They got at least one in New Orleans, so nobody will be eliminated tonight. You will for sure have a Game 6 in New Orleans, but obviously whoever wins tonight will have the upper hand, and historically, there haven't been too many teams that have lost in this spot and still gone on to win the series. It will be a hostile environment in Phoenix. I think that you're going to see maybe some retaliation from some of the Suns players after the Pelicans were really rough with Chris Paul in the last series, and I'm expecting a really good game tonight. I don't know if the Pelicans can get the win outright, but on the surface, I think 6.5 kind of a big number.
It's interesting when you look at this series with the spreads because, I'm with you. Kind of on the surface, 6.5 would feel fairly large, but there's been separation in most of these games. I guess it's just which way does it go? I mean, Pelicans lost Game 1 by 11. They won Game 2 by 11. They dominated Game 4. Game 3 was really the one that was semi-close. And, 114, 111, I think was the final score there. But even up until the end, that was more of a backdoor. Would have been more of a backdoor. But actually, I think the line was 2. Wasn't the line 2 there? So they actually covered. They actually covered. That's the only one that's been close. So that's where I'm a little wary on the spread tonight in this game. Because I think there will be separation. It's just which way will it go?
A big angle in the game, obviously, the performance of Chris Paul. When he's been good, when he's been hot down the stretch, the Suns have won the game. When the Pelicans have held them in check, New Orleans has won. But even from a gambling standpoint, I'm really looking at Chris Paul, 2 things. Number 1, his apparent hand injury, because I don't know if you saw the rounds on Twitter during Game 4. There's been no formal update of Chris Paul having an injury, but you can tell that his left hand is looking a little flimsy out there on the court. A lot of times he's not dribbling the way that he usually does, and a lot of people are pointing that out. So that's going to be something to watch for. Also, the rest factor. Think about it. When the Pelicans have held Chris Paul in check, it was after only 1 day's rest. They did that in Game 4 when they got the win. They did that in Game 2 when they got the win. There was only 1 day of rest between each game. But when the series shifted to New Orleans, there were 2 days of rest, obviously. And when the Pelicans played the Suns in Game 1, Phoenix was super rested after they had the best record in the NBA. So Chris Paul, still capable of maybe burning the Pelicans, but you definitely got to watch that left hand, and you have to consider the fact that he's only had 1 day rest.
A lot of people are talking about the rest. That is something I've heard plenty here as of late, and it does matter. I mean, look, he is aging. That's going to be huge, obviously, to hold him in check, but can you continue to hold the rest, everybody else in check on the Suns, and specifically from deep? I mean, that's mind-blowing to me that they just cannot find the shot from behind the arc. I mean, to shoot less than 25% combined in games 3 and 4 is just absurd. Now, you stand to reason, you go back home, more shots will normally fall. You normally shoot better in front of your home crowd. And you obviously don't have Devin Booker, which that matters to that stat as well. But they have to be able to figure out something along those lines, especially if Chris Paul is maybe favoring that hand a little bit, or if the rest factor does play a bigger role tonight. They have to get scoring from somewhere, and it just hadn't really come, especially from behind the arc.
For some of these games, mainly the last two, like you can build a sizable house with all the bricks from both of these teams from three-point land.
Yep.
But mainly the Suns, like you said, in the last game, they got a lot of open looks. They just were not making them count. And in the series, Phoenix is shooting just 29.3%. Not good at all, especially when you consider what they were doing in the regular season, over 35%. But in the last two games, particularly, they are 11 of 53 from deep. So the Pelicans are playing good defense. Herb Jones is even getting out there and blocking some of those threes, which is really tough to do. But you would think, just based on those numbers and seeing all the open looks that Phoenix has been getting, that they're maybe due for a better shooting performance tonight.
Yeah, I mean, eventually it has to fall, right? It's kind of like in baseball. Everybody says, "Oh, I mean, you're hitting the ball hard, put it in play. It's just going right at people. Eventually, those fall in." Kind of the same thing, I guess, in basketball with the three. I mean, you've put up as many as they've put up. Eventually, they have to start going in. I'm hoping they don't. Don't get me wrong. I hope they continue to shoot, 28% or whatever it is from three-point range for as long as this series goes. Hell, they won Game 3 doing it anyway. So, but Chris Paul was able to take over the fourth quarter. I'd be more than happy for Phoenix to just not be able to make threes. That'd be great. But I'm with you. Eventually, probably going to even out.
That's a big point in what you just mentioned in Game 3 and 4 that makes me think that the Pelicans could actually win this series. Game 3 was right there for the taking, in my opinion. Yeah. They missed a lot of free throws down the stretch, and the Pelicans, similar to the Suns, missed a lot of open looks. And Jonas Valanciunas was awful in Game 3 before he was spectacular in Game 4. So you'll need those contributions. And the biggest contributor has undoubtedly been Brandon Ingram. And Musso, honestly, I don't think very much is going to change. I don't think Phoenix has any answer for Brandon Ingram. And coming into the playoffs, a lot of people made the comparison of B.I. maybe being a poor man's Kevin Durant. And T-Bob Hebert, who I work with on the morning show, was saying, look at the stats. B.I. is better than Kevin Durant, at least if you're going by their numbers during these playoffs. But when I see him, you've seen Kevin Durant play a lot of big basketball games too. They really do resemble each other. Like, this guy just gets to a spot, he rises, he scores from wherever on the court, 3-level scorer. And he's also taken on a much better role as a leader as well. So they're going to make adjustments, and maybe the Pelicans will need better efforts from other places, but I think we're going to continue to see Brandon Ingram dominate.
That's the biggest thing for me, is what he's done in the leadership role, taking ownership of this team. This is Brandon Ingram's team, and for him to do that on the biggest stage against the number one seed, the best team in the NBA, who set a franchise record in wins, and his first trip ever to the playoffs, following up the play-in performances he had where he kind of did the same thing of, finally taking control. That's been what's so awesome to see. He hasn't been flustered. He's taken control, and because he hasn't been flustered, the rest of the team has fed off of that energy like you would normally do off of your leader. Brandon Ingram's been great. I mean, look, Willie Green said it time and time again. He's playing his best basketball right now, and it's hard to argue. For me, Jonas. I mean, I don't know how it's not Jonas. The outlier of the series is the fourth quarter of Game 3, where they just didn't play Jonas. And you suffered multiple different ways because of that on the boards, which also made you suffer offensively because of what Jonas can do with second chance points in the offensive glass. You saw them get that was the biggest adjustment they made from Game 3 to Game 4, was the concerted effort to get Jonas Valanciunas the ball and have him on the floor so he can go rebound or do whatever. We talked about that yesterday. Whether they're down 25 or up 25, that guy is grinding on the boards, and specifically the offensive boards. Can he keep that going into this game now, what he did, the double-double he had? in Game 4 because you're not abandoning that strategy, right? You're not going to go small again in the fourth quarter. You're going to see a lot of Jonas Valanciunas. You're going to probably see a lot of Larry Nance as well. The Pelicans need to use their size here, man.
I'm honestly struggling a little bit, Musso. Like, I'm not stupid. I know the line is what it is for a reason. These guys are usually right. The Suns are coming back home to a crowd that's going to be super hostile, and I think Chris Paul, injury or not, will play at least a little bit better than he did Game 4. But I'm feeling the Pelicans right now, man. There's something special going on down there in New Orleans, and we'll see if they translate it from home to now on the road. But I think the Pelicans can definitely cover. I almost think they can win this game outright. I wouldn't be shocked if they did that. I'm not going to sit here and make that an official pick, the Pelicans winning outright, but I wouldn't be shocked if it happens, and I think they at least cover the 6.5.
If the Pelicans win this game outright, I'll be very, very, very interested to see the spread for game number 6. Because if the Pelicans win this game outright, Devin Booker's coming back. That's going to happen.
Said
right?
that in the last show.
Devin Booker, if the Suns are facing elimination, Devin Booker's coming back. It'll be back home in New Orleans, and you just saw what that crowd was then. I would think you'd probably see a slight favorite because of the Suns, just being who they are and Book being back if that's the case. But I'll be very interested to see it, and I'll be very interested to see the action on that line as well if we get to that point. I think the Suns get the job done tonight. I don't know if I'm willing to lay 6.5 points, though. But that's just because I don't feel like I have a good feel for the spread in this series in general, because you've seen 3 lopsided games and 1 close game that was still technically a cover. So I'm not so set there. It's tough also because no team's won back-to-back games in this series yet. Yeah. I mean, the Pelicans, if they're going to win, they're going to have to do that. Like, they have, being the team that doesn't have home field advantage, home court advantage, you have to win back-to-back games at some point. The Suns don't have to. They can win tonight, lose Game 6, and win Game 7 on their home floor. They can alternate all the way, to the finish. The Pelicans have to be able to win back-to-back games. Nobody's been able to do that yet in this series. So, I think the Suns get it done. I'm going to stay away from any kind of spread betting in this one, though. I don't have a great feel for it, I feel like, in this series.
I agree with you about Booker. Phoenix loses tonight. He's for sure suiting up Game
100%.
6. And even if the Pelicans were able to get the upper hand and the series goes back for a Game 7 in Phoenix, I think that you see Devin Booker then. Maybe they don't have to rush him back as quickly, but if they get desperate, these are the playoffs. And like I said in the last show, not everybody is Ben Simmons. Some people will put their body on the line.
As soon as they are facing elimination, whether it be in this series, whether it be in the next or whenever, as soon as they're facing elimination, that's when Devin Booker's coming back for sure early. If they can get through this series without that, if they can get through the next series without that, and he's back for the conference finals, healthy and ready to go, then it's fine. But the only way he comes back early is if they're facing elimination.
Man, there will be a Game 6 in New Orleans no matter what. I think that's a big victory for this franchise in general. But if the Pelicans find a way to win Game 5 tonight, the atmosphere and a potential closeout game, Game 6, Smoothie King Center, that is going to be something to behold.
They win tonight. We got to have Scott Foster in there for Game 6.
Yes.
At all costs, Scott Foster, Game 6.
1,000%. We'll see if Scott Foster makes his return to this series. Pelicans and Suns tied at 2. Game 5 from Phoenix tonight as the Pels are a 6.5-point underdog. We'll go out to Las Vegas in the next segment, talk to Rafael Esparza, DocSports.com, MyBookie.ag, get his thoughts on Pelicans, Suns, and the rest of the NBA action on deck for tonight. This is The Early Line, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Early Line with Mario and Musso. 104.5 ESPN. Our listeners fire off their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
And this year, 2022, it's time to finally treat yourself. Bring your boat to the next level with front-to-back boat service. You want the latest and greatest marine technology? You want to go to the place that has not one, but 2 NMEA certified techs. Family owned and operated by the Sherman family for 30 years. Front to Back is the answer in Baton Rouge for all of your custom boat needs. So head to fronttobackboatservice.com or find them on Facebook, Front to Back Boat Service.
At All-Star Toyota, you get it all. If you're in the market for an all-new Toyota vehicle, come see our friendly and knowledgeable sales team at All-Star Toyota. Located in Baton Rouge at the corner of Airline and Goodwood, we've been serving our community since 2005 by offering a large selection of new Toyota cars, trucks, and SUVs. Get behind the wheel of your dream car and take a test drive at All Star Toyota today.
Hey, look what I found!
The motivation I needed to live healthier. My new favorite sport.
I found my groove.
I found I'm part fish.
My second win when I needed it most.
I found more than a gym.
The affordable childcare this mom needed. Time for myself. We found our why.
Have you found yours?
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
This isn't just another day. It's so much more. Kelly's life was put on hold when her auctioneer primary care doctor discovered a rare blood disorder. Her doctor connected her to an auctioneer care team of cancer, heart, and kidney specialists. With multiple primary care locations around Baton Rouge, same-day appointments, and online scheduling, we're relentless about keeping you healthy. Auctioneer Baton Rouge, innovating healthcare for Kelly.
There it is, the extra mile. On the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further. Like vans customized for work or play. With safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team. And backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Are you a licensed contractor? There's lots of good contractors in Louisiana doing work the right way, but unfortunately, too many unlicensed contractors are working outside the licensing requirements. Working as a contractor in Louisiana requires a license for the company doing the work. The Louisiana State Licensing Board for Contractors wants to help you get licensed to allow you to conduct work legally. It's not difficult to get the license. We can help you. Go to lacontractor.org for more information. Licensed contractors, it's the law.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
On Wednesdays, Off the Bench, we'll recap the all-important Pels Suns Game 5, who managed to take the 3-2 lead. And we'll have a brand new Would You Rather Wednesday. Off the Bench, 7 to 10 a.m., 104.5 ESPN.
You're getting the early line with Mario and Musso on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Back here on the early line, our guy on the horn, Rafael Esparza from DocSports.com, MyBookie.ag. Rafael, we appreciate the time as always. How are you?
I'm doing well. How about yourself?
We're doing great. We're big game tonight in Pelly's, Game 5 with the Suns. We're doing fantastic. We're going to get there, but definitely want to start with some of the other NBA playoff action tonight. And first game on tap is the Heat and the Hawks. Game number 5 here. Miami looking to close it out, leading 3-1. 6-point favorites in this game. Seen it as high as 7.5 at times with the total at 217. Man, look, the Hawks, they finally salvaged one. Can they make this a series?
No, the series is over. I just like the way that Miami's been playing. There's so many teams playing shorthanded. But I think Miami is the only one that looks like maybe you can throw in the Bucks, but I would say Miami looks real comfortable, even being shorthanded. They roll tonight, especially at home in South Beach. They take care of business.
Rafael, I know you'll appreciate this stat. This season is the first time in NBA history that the two title favorites, betting favorites, didn't win a single playoff game since it started in 1977. Of course, I'm talking about the Brooklyn Nets and the Los Angeles Lakers. The Nets at least made the playoffs, but they did get swept by the Boston Celtics. That being said, which team do you think has the scariest future here in the near future? Because the Nets and the Lakers both kind of have a lot of questions.
Oh, if I had to buy stock, I would buy stock in the Nets before I buy stock in the Lakers. The Lakers are just old; they have no bench. I think, let's face it, I think the Nets just got suffered of a horrible situation with the bearded one. Then Kyrie Irving not getting shot up, and then they make the trade, and Simmons, who I just think does more mentally than anything. I don't think he has a back problem. I just think it's all mentally for him. I would buy stock. I think they come back, especially with KD. I mean, KD was just exhausted towards the end of the season.
They going to fire Steve Nash over there in Brooklyn?
Ask KD. KD said no, he wants him back. So I think KD runs the ship right there. So I think he comes back.
We'll see what happens. The players being GMs not going as well in the last couple of years as it has been recently, at least not from what I can see. What do you think of Timberwolves Grizzlies tonight? Game 5, Memphis catching 6. Ja Morant at one point had more tweets than he had field goals in this series, but it's still a really good one. What do you think happens tonight?
I like Memphis. I think it's a little bit tad high. I really liked the 7 yesterday when it was. Now it's a solid 6. Would not be shocked if this one drops to maybe 5.5, just amount of money that's coming in on Minnesota. I like the T-Wolves to cover. I think Memphis wins those.
Any value on the total in this one, sitting at 231.5?
A little bit shocked that it came down a point. It opened up at 232.5. I mean, both teams can put up big numbers. I think if there's one game that's a high-scoring game that flies over, it could be this one.
Let's talk New Orleans Pelicans, Raphael. Game 5 tonight, Suns Pellies. And before we get a pick, I wanted to ask you about a couple of the individual players because I think that the two rookies of the Pelicans, not counting Trey Murphy, he's also a rookie, Jose Alvarado and Herb Jones have kind of taken the NBA world by storm after that Game 4. They played some really rough defense against Chris Paul. What were your impressions of Herb Jones and Jose Alvarado? Speechless. Raphael was left.
Did we lose Raphael?
Herb plays really good defense.
He does. He does. I mean, look, three blocks on the 3-pointers. That's pretty impressive.
Again,
hard to do.
Again, consider how hard that is in an NBA game to cover that much ground. Like, remember when Zion Williamson did it in college, and that was a highlight for like 3 months? He did that in the NBA 3 times in the same game.
In the same game. Yeah, that's the part that's really impressive. Is it's the same game. I mean, just what those two have done. We talked about it a lot yesterday, obviously. Yeah, I mean, it's just building for the future so much with Jose and the fact that Jose was undrafted and, I mean, he was a two-way player until 2 months ago.
Such a good story.
Wild. We have Raphael back, Casey? All right, we have Raphael back. Mario was asking you thoughts on Herb Jones, Raphael.
I like the way Herb Jones plays. I like the way his future's going to be. Alvarado, I mean, people say, yeah, CP3 into Hall of Fame, but he's an old guy. I mean, and now he has to do so much with no Booker. I just think CP3 just out of gas in the second half. The bench is a little shortened up. But I love Jones. I think he's going to be a stud in the NBA, especially the way he plays defense. He'll learn how to do it, to hit the jump shot, maybe expand his game with the 3-ball. But if you can come in the league playing that kind of defense, you have a very, very good career.
What do you make of the game tonight in terms of matchups and the most important one? Because I think the big men in this series have been a lot of fun to watch. First couple games in Phoenix, DeAndre Ayton ate Jonas Valanciunas' lunch, but then Jonas in Game 4 was big time with 26 points. Also, the backup bigs have been playing really well. Larry Nance for New Orleans, JaVale McGee for Phoenix has been playing really well. But when it comes to the two main big guys, what has been your thoughts on the matchup with Ayton and Jonas Valanciunas?
I've been a big fan of Ayton. Pay the guy. I mean, I just don't understand why they didn't pay him over the summer. I think he's going to have a big game. They're at home. I think the Suns bench will probably play a little bit better, and the role players will play a little bit better. We see it when you're at home. Role players play better. We saw with fans playing better in games 3 and 4 at home. I think the role players of Phoenix will also chime in, but the big guys, Ayton and Valanciunas are both going to be big key guys for tonight because I think they need their scoring to get some pressure off Ingram and CP3. So I think both the big guys have big games.
Well, what are we thinking in terms of a pick on this one, gambling wise? Because I mean, I'm looking at the spread at 6.5. I mean, I guess on the surface, that might seem a tad high, but there's been a lot of separation in this series. 2 11-point games in game 1 and game 2, 118, 103 in game 4. I mean, the closest one was game 3, and yet that was actually still a cover because the line closed at 2. I mean, it feels like the team that's going to win is going to cover here, obviously.
I could see that, but I just like the youth. And again, Booker's not coming through those doors. And so unless Phoenix makes those changes, I think it's a tad too high. I like the Pelicans. I mean, am I saying the Pelicans are going to win? But I think the Suns win this one, but I would not be shocked whoever wins this game wins by 4 points or less. I think it's going to be a very hard fought game. Kind of like the total going over. I mean, both the last 3 games all have gone over the total. Even game 1, I mean, just the way how poorly New Orleans played in game 1, if you throw that game out there, it's been a really big and offensive game. So I'm a little bit shocked that the total opened at 215.5, dropped down to a full point. I kind of like this game going over as well.
Did want to ask you about a couple of factors when it comes to Chris Paul that a lot of people are discussing today. Number one is the rest factor. He's been a lot better after 2 days of rest compared to 1, which he has today. And then his hand. There's been no formal injury report or injury update, but a lot of people online and journalists alike have been watching Chris Paul's hand. And in game 4, apparently he was favoring one hand over the other. So have you heard anything about a potential injury with Chris Paul, and is that affecting how you watch the game tonight?
It is, and I still think. I mean, I think it's the same hand that he hurt last year, or the same wrist, the same little hand wrist, whatever you want to call it. So yeah, I think that could be ineffective if he shows any kind of laboring on it, like he did on games 4. Then again, that plus 6.5, which I kind of like, looks really, really good tonight. Again, I still think the Suns squeak one out, and I think the role player is going to be big, not CP3 having a big game. I think it's the role players.
Switching gears a little bit, the NFL draft is Thursday. First round gets underway. A new betting favorite to go to number 1 is Trayvon Walker out of Georgia. Any other angles to kind of watch betting wise in the NFL draft, or any plays that you like, little wacky odds that you might have coming out?
Yeah, I'm a little shocked on how quickly that went up. I mean, I think he's now minus $2 for number 1 pick for that one. I'm a little bit shocked on that one. I think I like some of the teams. I think Atlanta Falcons first drafted player. I kind of like wide receiver at minus 120. Really thought that should have been like around minus 160 or around that way. So I think you can get some value right now. But for an odds maker, the NFL is never a winning section for us. So we always lose when it comes to NFL draft. For a guy that's looking for value, I still think there's some really, really good value out there in the NFL draft. So I guess it's how you approach it. And if you're going to gamble, it's quit looking at mock drafts. If you're going to look at it and gamble, quit looking at mock drafts. That's probably one of the worst situation out there. I'd like the Saints offensive lineman being their first pick at plus 250. I think that's good value.
That'd be good. Maybe not the sexiest pick in the minds of a lot of fans, but a very necessary pick.
Hey, the Saints love taking offensive linemen, they love taking linemen in general in the first round, and they need to address left tackle. So, I mean, I could see it. I'm kind of surprised it's at plus 250, you said, Raphael?
Yeah, plus 250 offensive lineman.
Yeah, you would think that could definitely be a direction that they go, especially in the early picks. But I want you to take off your handicapping hat for a second, Raphael. Put on your fan hat. When it comes to the NFL draft, the broadcast, the whole experience, do you enjoy consuming it? Because I've heard a lot of takes in the last few days that the draft as an event is kind of overrated and it's not fun. But I have really fond memories, not just recently, but over the years watching the NFL draft. Like, I'll never forget being at the Saints draft party in 2006 when they drafted Reggie Bush and the positive reaction there. I'll never forget everybody being shocked when the Chicago Bears drafted Mitch Trubisky out of North Carolina a few years ago. So I think there's some potential for, like, some moments that could live on in history. I've always liked the draft. How do you feel about consuming it?
I'd rather watch T-ball, baseball practice than watch the NFL draft. I will probably watch under probably less than 5 minutes of the NFL draft. I don't understand the fixation of the NFL draft. A lot of these people who get drafted probably won't even make the team, or probably on a team in 3 years. I know the NFL's creme of the creme, and we're forced to do everything NFL 365 days a year. But I feel bad for the Pelicans because if their next home game is going to be the same night as the NFL draft, and I can guarantee you people will be watching the NFL draft instead of Game 6.
Yeah, I mean, he's not wrong. I know here that might not be necessarily the case. I mean, I think a lot of people are going to be interested in it here, but I'm kind of with him though. The last time I was really excited for the NFL, like to watch the NFL draft, was the COVID year because we didn't have any type of live sports. That doesn't really count as live sports, but we had nothing until that. And I mean, it was just finally something we could all watch together. Other than that, I'm kind of good.
Y'all are wrong. Y'all are
and I had to put prop bets over under how many dogs would be on TV during that draft. There will be a cat showing on TV. So I enjoyed that draft year.
Bill Belichick probably cashed those props by himself with his dog on the screen that year.
Taylor, you got to pull up that. You got to pull up that picture of Bill Belichick as a dog for the next segment because that was hilarious.
Belichick's dog was on TV more than he was during that draft. It was wild. Yeah, but the NFL draft, it's all right. Okay.
Nah, y'all are wrong.
The second and third round are terrible.
Part of the process, and I respect the process over here.
All right. Raphael, we appreciate the time as always. You'll follow him on Twitter at VSI DocSports, DocSports.com, MyBookie.ag. We'll do it again next week, man. Thanks.
Take it easy, guys. Have a great week.
You do the same. Come back, close out early line next. 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
The early line. 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. The Baton Rouge Clinic brings you the 2022 Dreams Come True Radiothon. Help make a dream come true for a Louisiana child with a life-threatening illness today by making your donation at 1045ESPN.com.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team. And backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Before we begin any electrical work here, we perform a home safety check that begins at your electrical panel to make sure that you and your family are safe. For all your upgrades, installations, and repairs, call Mr. Electric.
At All-Star Toyota, you get it all. If you're in the market for an all-new Toyota vehicle, come see our friendly and knowledgeable sales team at All-Star Toyota. Located in Baton Rouge at the corner of Airline and Goodwood, we've been serving our community since 2005 by offering a large selection of new Toyota cars, trucks, and SUVs. Get behind the wheel of your dream car and take a test drive at All-Star Toyota today.
ServiceMaster Elite create clean, disinfected work environments. As a local business, we take pride in serving the New Orleans and Baton Rouge areas. Our cleaning protocols follow CDC and OSHA standards for healthcare settings, offices, senior living, restaurants, and industrial plants. Contact ServiceMaster Elite to get your operation ready for reopening with germ disinfection cleaning. ServiceMaster Elite, the trusted choice in professional cleaning since 1996.
Eli's always been into grilling. It took us a while to see it, but the signs were there.
What are you doing, Eli?
I knew grilling was my thing. I have been talking about it throughout my career.
Happy with the results?
I am. Got the new grill from barbecueguys.com. It performed great.
My advice, as I always told my boys,
do more of what you're born to do.
Barbecue Guys, for those who were born to grill.
You want cheese on your burger, Pops?
I'll take a little cheese.
If you're in an accident, a car accident, a slip and fall where you're injured, you need to call an attorney. The defendant insurance company, it's their goal to close the case as quickly as possible and pay out the least amount of money as possible. That's why it's important to call an attorney and call the law offices of O.C. Brown.
At the law office of O.C. Brown, we're a family-owned firm. We want to be your law firm for a lifetime.
This is a house call. This is a follow-up appointment. This is a diabetes checkup. This isn't just more convenient care, it's more advanced care. This is innovating healthcare at Louisiana's #1 hospital, Ochsner.
If home is where the heart is, a roof is a shield. That's why for over 25 years, South Louisiana always turns to Garcia Roofing and Sheet Metal. For more information, visit garciadidmyroof.com.
Moscona inviting you to join us for Tuesday's AFR, presented by Insurance Network of Louisiana. We're counting down to the draft, and we're previewing Pell's Suns Game 5 and LSU baseball at UNO. Join us, 3 to 6, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Early Line with Mario and Musso, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Couple orders of business to take care of here on Twitter.com before I go home for the day, and Musso produces Moscona's show. The first is bad news for my first pick in today's show, because Shams Kanaraya of The Athletic tweets out that the Heat say Jimmy Butler is out for tonight's Game 5 due to right knee inflammation. This came out 5 minutes ago, so spare me the flack. Not good for the Heat, but you know what, Musso? I still like the points. I was telling you during the break, Heat culture, they're going to find a way to still get the scoring. I don't know if it'll be Hero. I don't know if it'll be Bam Adebayo, anybody else, but the culture is a real thing there in Miami. It's not just a word, and I really do believe the next man up will be ready for the Heat.
Good luck.
Thank you. I will probably need it.
I'm staying away from that one in general.
As we get to today's Citizens Bank poll of the day, the question posed to the audience tonight also had to do with basketball, also had to do with betting. The question posed was, what's the most likely play tonight when it comes to Pelicans Suns? The Pels plus 6.5 as an underdog, or the Suns laying 6.5 as a favorite? 69% of the audience says that the Pelicans will at least cover in this game. 30% of the audience says that Phoenix will win and win somewhat sizably by 7 points or more. Audience confident in the Pelicans, man.
Yeah, man. Hey, look, and Raphael was too in the last segment. Said the Suns probably squeeze it out, but I mean, Pelicans to cover, man. The youth, they've been playing great. They have energy in this series. That's huge. I wonder if they're not walking into a hornet's nest tonight in Phoenix.
So we got about 2 minutes left in the show. We've been really heavy on NBA playoffs. It's in season. People want to bet on it. Obviously, we're going to talk about it. But the NFL draft is this week, Musa. Kind of snuck up on us. You told me that you don't really enjoy consuming it maybe as much as I do, but I'm sure you still got to be juiced up for the draft. We see a lot of crazy stuff on the broadcast. And like we were talking about with Raphael, one of my favorite all-time draft moments, NFL draft moments, was during the COVID year when they were showing the Patriots getting ready to make their pick, and they were trying to show their head coach. They showed Bill Belichick's dog instead, and it looked like they were trying to show Bill Belichick, but his dog had other ideas, and it kind of looks like this dog is making the actual draft pick for the New England Patriots.
Yeah, this is one of the best moments in NFL draft history. I mean, this is phenomenal. It's just it's something that really kind of only would have happened in the COVID year, obviously, because, everything was remote and whatnot, but it's just that everything around that was so out of the ordinary and so crazy that, yeah, it would look like Bill Belichick morphed into a dog at one point during the draft. That was great. But yeah, man, I was excited, really excited for the draft that year, and we kind of talked about it because you wanted something to where everybody's watching it at the same time, and that was a lot of fun, and it helped that 5 LSU Tigers went in the first round that year. But I mean, that's really my focus on the draft is, who are the Saints going to take and where the LSU players go. Other than that, I don't really get the hype around it.
Like I said, I kind of enjoy this historical significance of it. Like, maybe you don't see it that year, but down the road, you're going to remember the Bears taking Mitch Trubisky over Watson and Mahomes, which at the time, even people said was a bad move. You're going to remember the Saints taking Reggie Bush and the reaction of the crowd therein. I just kind of like the historical significance. I'm a nerd for history sometimes, especially when it comes to football. So I guess that's why I like it.
There you go. Why not?
NFL draft this Thursday night. We will have our draft party at Don Juan's. Come check us out.
I'm going to be there.
Also check out After Further Review with Matt Moscona coming up next. 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.